The Giants with a thrilling victory in Week 3 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Honestly, one of the best Giants games I've watched in a long time. I mean, people talked about the Bears game from last year, and there were some good games last year, not going to lie, but by that point we were out of it. And I honestly said, I tweeted this actually, that this is the best I've felt as a Giants fan since that Week 17 win against the Redskins in 2016 to knock them out of the playoffs. And that was a long time ago, so this is a great feeling to be a Giants fan right now. It's a new era of football, new quarterback, obviously, who played his ass off today. There's a lot to get into in this game, and let's get into the, not even the offense. I'm going to get into Daniel Jones. I made it his own page today, so let's get into Daniel Jones and his performance. So we saw Daniel Jones play in, I think, every preseason game. He looked really good, passing the ball, putting the ball in the perfect spot. The one concern we had was fumbling, and of course he did lose 2 fumbles in this game, but hey, he won the game anyway, so who really cares? I mean, they'll fix it in practice and stuff like that, so I'm really not all that concerned. I said it last week too, I'm really not that concerned about it. His attempts, 23 out of 36. I'm surprised they gave him 36 passing attempts. I mean, it made sense based off the score. It was 25-10 at one point, I believe, so that's kind of why they passed the ball a lot. And Saquon Barkley being injured did not help as well, so they really needed to lean on Daniel Jones, probably more than Pat Shermer wanted to, but of course Daniel Jones was up for the test. Had a 336 passing yards, very good for a debut, 2 passing touchdowns, no interceptions, did have a dropped interception, but who cares. Rushing attempts, 4 rushing attempts, 28 yards. When was the last time Eli Manning had 28 rushing yards in a game? Honestly, I don't know if it ever happened. Had 2 rushing touchdowns, of course one was the game winner, one was a read option play, which we have not seen like ever as we're Giants fans, of course. I mean, we see it around the NFL, but as Giants fans, we never saw that, so it was cool to have that. As I said, 2 fumbles lost. It is what it is. They'll fix it. And a career record of 1-0, so that's awesome news. Daniel Jones looked phenomenal, to tell you honestly. I mean, he did make some mistakes. He was sacked like 5 or 6 times, and some of his offensive linemen played pretty poorly today. But for the most part, he looked really good, and I'm just very optimistic about his future with this team. And I did apologize after the day after the draft about how I reacted to it. I mean, from my perspective, I thought we could have got him at 17, but still, we got him anyway. He's looking great right now, and that's really all we have to care about. So, very, very, very optimistic about this kid's future, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself. As I said, it is the Buccaneers. It's not the greatest defense, but it's still a pretty good defense. They have a very nice front 7 there. Their secondary is not all that great, but still, he won the game. They were down 25-10. The best player on his offense went down in the first or second quarter, and he found a way to come back and win the game. That says a lot about a quarterback right there, so I was very impressed, honestly. So now, let's go on to the entire offense. Okay, so now on to the whole offense. So the most important thing outside of the win today is that Saquon Barkley has a high ankle sprain, I believe. That's what I saw on Twitter at least. And I mean, that's the kind of ankle sprain that can keep you out for a few weeks. It could be longer. So I mean, that's the worst kind of ankle sprain you can get. So that's not good news for him. Should be out. So probably he might miss the next 3 games and then come back after the bye if I had to guess, or something like that. Who knows? But the offensive line had ups and downs today, to put it nicely. Nate Solder was absolutely abused by Shaq Barrett on many occasions in this game, and there was one point in the fourth quarter where you were like, yeah, we pretty much know he's going to get beat on this play, so Daniel Jones has to get rid of the ball quickly. The offensive line looked really good the first 2 games, and then, once the quarterback change was made, for some reason, it just did not look good today. But as I said, the Bucs do have a good front 7, so, I mean, that's just bound to happen, I guess, at some points. Sterling Shepard came back from his concussion in a big way, had 7 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown, had a big catch on the final drive as well, where, no one was guarding him, but still he got open, made the catch, and he was a big contributor for us on offense today. Evan Engram had a big play, the first play out of the half, and had 6 catches, 113 yards, and a touchdown total. He continues his big season, coming off a kind of down game against the Bills. He had some garbage time catches, but wasn't much of a factor in week 2. Darius Slayton made his NFL debut and had a 3-catch, 82-yard game, had one really big catch in this game. So he does add a vertical threat, a weapon to this team that the Giants didn't have before. He is a rookie, so he's going to have his ups and downs as well. I'm sure he's going to have some drops at some point in the season, so don't be shocked if that happens. But for today, he looked really good. He was a big help, so it's nice to have him around. There was no Cody Latimer, of course, so he probably got some extra snaps due to that. Aldrick Rosas was perfect today. He missed a field goal last week, but just bounced back this week and looked really good. 1 for 1 on the field goals, 3 for 3 on point after attempts. And honestly, I want to talk about Daniel Jones again. So, what does he do to this offense? So, you could probably tell from Pat Shermer's play call today there was like just some different stuff, and he added like some extra things to it. We saw like a double reverse at one point, which we never saw. We saw the read option play, and honestly, I think having Daniel Jones, it just opens up Pat Shermer's playbook so much. And this is why I was saying the last few years, like I think the Giants have a higher ceiling with a young quarterback. Like I thought Eli Manning was just holding this team back too much on offense, and not to say that one start's going to prove me right or prove me wrong, but like it kind of made sense because running quarterbacks in this league just adds such an upside that these other quarterbacks don't. I mean, when you have a quarterback that can't move very well, it kind of limits you. And there were situations today on third down or even the 2 touchdown runs where if Eli Manning was quarterback, I don't know if we score in those situations. So I'm happy that we have a new quarterback and we got to see another side of it. You know what I mean? Like this is kind of what I wanted for the last 2 years. I wanted a quarterback who was somewhat mobile and can make smart passes, and that's pretty much what Daniel Jones did today. And this is the kind of offense I expected to see from the Giants post Eli Manning. And I said it last video, I said it on Twitter as well, that I expected Daniel Jones to move the ball well today. My concern was obviously the fumbles and how they would convert in the red zone, and they converted pretty well in the red zone today. So I really can't complain much about that. It was just a fear I had with a rookie quarterback. So look, Daniel Jones, I mean, he offers a lot more than Eli Manning at this point in his career. Not to say that he's already better than Eli Manning ever was. That'd be a stupid thing to say. But his rushing ability and the way he places the ball right now, which is probably better than Eli Manning, I think he's just a better option for us right now. So I was definitely on board with this move, and I hope he progresses throughout the season. And if this is like Daniel Jones' lowest point, which it won't be, that's a dumb thing to say, but like this is his first start. We expect him to get better week by week. He'll have his off games, everyone does, but this is a really, really good sign to see from our offense. They put up over 30 points for the first time this year. It's only 2 games, I get it, but still, it was very nice to see. I mean, if Eli Manning was quarterback today, I don't know how many points we score. I feel like it wouldn't be, over 30, but it would still be a decent amount. Well, the Browns are about to score. I have the Browns game on in the background, or the Browns and Rams game, so it's kind of hard to focus. It's kind of stupid. I should probably turn it off, but I'm trying to watch. There's like 40 seconds left. Browns are driving. You guys probably know the outcome when this is posted. So, but yeah, I mean, Daniel Jones, as I said, just adds a completely different aspect to this offense, and I'm a fan of it, honestly. So we'll see how he progresses throughout the season. I don't think he'll ever play bad enough to get benched. So, I mean, it really comes down to an injury. If Eli Manning were to play again this season, as I said, I do think he'll get one drive in the final home game to kind of, just have his farewell and all that kind of stuff. So, we'll see. But Daniel Jones, very impressed with his Week 1 performance, and I'm excited for the future with him. On to the defense now, and they looked much better in the second half. During the first half, it just felt like same crap, different week. Janoris Jenkins was getting abused, just like Nate Solder was on the offense. Janoris Jenkins was just being taken advantage of by Mike Evans, who had 190 yards and 3 touchdowns, did most of his damage, if not all of it, in the first half, except for that one catch he had in the fourth quarter, which was a big one, but they missed the field goal. Anyway, Mike Evans, as I said, abused Jenkins, and I just want to talk about the defense in the second half real quick. So I don't know if the Giants made any kind of crazy adjustments at halftime. There seemed to be more like press man at that point in the second half, which a lot of these Giants corners are better at, so they probably shouldn't have been doing that anyway. And they kind of like went away from zone, it seemed like a little bit, or playing off their guys by 10 yards. So I think, maybe the Giants figured something out on defense. Who knows? I don't think they'll all of a sudden be this great defense, but to see them play better ball in the second half is definitely a good thing. And they play the Redskins next week, who really don't have a scary offense. So we'll see what they can do next week. Hopefully they hold an opponent under 20 points. That should be like the goal, and we'll see what happens there. Jabril Peppers showed some promise in pass coverage. He had a couple of plays on O.J. Howard, who is a good tight end. He's had a rough year so far. Had a pretty good game today, but there were a couple moments. They called one pass interference, I believe, on him that Bruce Arians challenged, and I'm kind of iffy on it. I mean, I feel like it wasn't egregious or whatever the quote they use is, but he had, his hand on his arm, and they called it pass interference. But for the most part, he was pretty good in coverage today, so that's nice to see. Hopefully, Jabril Peppers gets better week by week on that stuff. Marcus Golden, I think, is their best pass rusher. I think he's proved it over the last 2 weeks. He's been very active. He was in the Bills game. He was this week, obviously, and he's just a guy that's consistently near the quarterback in passing situations. So I think right now, we would consider him our best pass rusher. He looks healthy. He looks good, and obviously, he's on a 1-year contract, so that bodes well for him. Same thing with Shaq Barrett, 1-year contract, so maybe we sign him and Shaq Barrett next year. Those could be our outside linebackers of 2020. Who knows? Anyway, B.J. Hill, Dexter Lawrence, and DeAndre Baker, they all played better. So These guys kind of had a rough start to the season. Dexter Lawrence looked good in week 2, but B.J. Hill we weren't hearing much about. DeAndre Baker was having just about the worst 2 games you could ever have as a rookie, and it looked really bad. But in this game, DeAndre Baker looked a lot better. The guy, what's his name, Chris Godwin, wasn't making much noise today, which says a lot about the way not only DeAndre Baker was playing, but Grant Haley as well, so they were able to keep him in check. I understand Mike Evans was doing everything, and some O.J. Howard catches were in there as well, but to hold a guy like Chris Godwin to, I think, maybe like 40, 50 yards, whatever it was, it's a very good showing for those 2 guys. Alec Ogletree has a hamstring injury. I don't know the severity of it or how long he's out for, but for him to play next week seems like a long shot. He might miss 1 week, 2 weeks. These things could last a while. We never know. So right now they have second-year linebacker, converted safety, Tay Davis, and of course the rookie Ryan Conley, who had his first interception today, was a big play for us. So congrats to him and getting the first turnover, I believe, for the Giants defense in 2019. It took probably 11 quarters to do so, maybe even 12. I forget it was the fourth quarter or not, but it took a while, but they finally got it. So good job right there for Ryan Conley. Michael Thomas had a huge tackle on the third down play. There was 3 minutes left in the game. They just threw a quick, route in the flat to Cameron Brate, and he dove right for his legs, and he was short of the first down by a yard and a half, 2 yards. That was a big play. If the Buccaneers pick up that first down, or if Michael Thomas misses the tackle, which we've seen a lot from the Giants on defense so far this year, a lot of missed tackles. DeAndre Baker, Janoris Jenkins are the most likely candidates for that so far. But on this particular play, Michael Thomas, who's our third safety, came in, made a great tackle, and kept him short. The Giants got the ball back when the Bucs punted on 4th and 1, and then Daniel Jones took it from there, rushed in for the game-winning touchdown. And yeah, the Giants probably should have lost today. They probably should have. Based on how much the offensive line struggled and Daniel Jones fumbling the ball twice. And the Giants lost the turnover battle, I believe. And, Matt Gay had a game-winning field goal from, I forget how far it was, 32 yards or something like that. They probably should have won the game. But you know what? Who cares? These things happen. The Giants have lost many heartbreaking games recently on some long field goals. Of course, you think of the 63-yarder from Graham Gano last year for the Panthers. It seems to happen all the time to the Giants, so I'm happy it went the other way for once. And I tweeted during the game, this game, even before the Daniel Jones final drive, I tweeted, this game has a heartbreaking vibe to it. And it really felt like that was going to happen. They had the big Mike Evans catch for 40, 50 yards on the final drive, and, Jameis Winston kneels, they take a timeout, and you're like, oh, here we go again. They're going to lose on a final field goal. And this happened in 2017 when we played the Buccaneers, so it just had the same thing written all over it. This time, though, the rookie kicker misses. That's awesome, and I feel bad for the kid, but hey, the Giants needed a win, so I really don't care. The sacks today were Marcus Golden, who had 2 of them. I believe he now has 4 on the season, so that's great for him. If he gets to double digits, that's great. O'Shane Ximines had 1, and Dexter Lawrence had his first career sack as well. Lawrence played very well in this game. He had a kick deflection as well on an extra point attempt. He was very active today, so it's just nice to see those young guys get better and better. And if this defense can play like they did in the second half for the rest of the season, the Giants have a legit chance to win 8, 9, 10 games. You know what I mean? It's tough to say when you start out 0-2. I would say 8 or 9 games is the limit, but if they play better and Daniel Jones is doing what he's doing today for the whole season, the Giants are going to be a much better football team. So there's a lot of optimism around this team right now. You have the young quarterback, you have the young defense. If they get better and better as the weeks go on, maybe the Giants peak at the right time when, if they get in the playoffs or something. I don't want to get too over my head, obviously. I'm a realist. You guys know that. I don't think they make the playoffs, but look, it's possible now. I feel like you're no longer trotting out Eli Manning, who limits your offense. There's now an upside to this offense at the most important position on the field at quarterback, and I think right now the Giants have a much higher ceiling than they once did. So I'm excited for it. We'll see what happens. They play Washington, I believe, at home next week. The Giants have a legitimate chance to go 2-2. I think Washington right now is 0-2. They play Monday night, so of course I don't know the outcome yet, but they do play Chicago, so that'll be a tough game. Depending on how Mitch Trubisky looks, who knows. But yeah, so the Giants have a chance to be 2-2 next week, and that's awesome. So I'll do the preview for that game on Friday. I will try to do the film breakdown video on Tuesday or Wednesday. Hopefully you guys tune into that. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's at Mike_NYY. If you guys saw the Barstool post, they stole my post from April 28th. They stole my post. If you guys follow me on Twitter, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I tweeted about it, so that's kind of annoying, but maybe it's a coincidence. Who knows? So anyway, I'll talk to you guys, I guess, Tuesday. Yeah, that's probably it. So thanks for watching if you made it to the end, and I'll talk to you guys next time.